Good morning.
How's everybody doing today?
We have a coffee load.
Oh, I got the thumbs up from Taylor. Taylor, are you eating breakfast?
No, I'm getting ready. I had to take my
Right.
brother to the airport this morning, so I'm running behind a little bit.
Is he going to Hawaii?
No, he's going to Florida.
Hawaii's when? That's later on this year, right?
Yeah, that's August.
It's August. That's right. That's August. All right, we'll just wait a minute or two. We'll just chat, see if anybody else will jump in and join us. But how is life? How is what's happening out there? What are you feeling? What are you seeing?
I know on my end, we kind of had talked about it a little bit yesterday, is that I have a ton of people wanting to buy, but they're just not able to get qualified and they don't have money in their pocket. So that's where I'm at on the buy end. And then I have a builder who's looking for land that can be subdivided into about 4 lots, preferably in Johnston County, but he's willing to go really all the way out to Goldsboro, all the way to Burlington. So that's kind of where I'm at with my buyers. I don't have I have a few leads on a few listings, but nothing solid.
Yeah, it's going to be a big thing here in number one. Ashley, I think you touched on a couple, 2-3 things, is that we have a lot of people who are coming out to try to buy a home or try to get qualified. And, we're seeing some of that with people having a hard time getting qualified. And then number 2, then if they do get qualified, what's their price point? And, the price point, of course, in Wake County, if we're in that 200 to, 300, it's a hard price point to find. So then that's where we need to be able to have the conversation with people about, getting out into the outer rings. If Raleigh, Cary is like the bullseye, and then as the rings go out of that bullseye, housing does tend to get a little bit less expensive. And so you have that opportunity further out. But I know a lot of people they don't want to drive, right? And so we just just need to have that conversation with them. Like we mentioned yesterday, like in DC, that's what's happened there, unfortunately, is that, people live an hour and a half, 2 hours away, from working in DC, because the price point in the, Northern Virginia, Maryland area there has gotten, so expensive that they just can't afford to live there. The cost of living is so high. So, unfortunately, that will begin to happen here in Raleigh, because number one, we're always in the top 5, top 2, top 3, number 1 for places to live. So we've got a lot of people moving here. And on top of it, with all the, what you want to call it, pharmaceuticals and the universities and everything, that they're kind of recession proof. So there's always jobs here. Plus we've added a lot of jobs. So it's put a lot of pressure on the housing market here. The second part of that too is as our job as agents, as you mentioned that, Ashley, is that we need to go find listings. We're the ones that can solve that problem. And so we need to go out there and get them again. One of the things I was thinking about, with the buyers coming back in and the lack of inventory, and we're going to go through the numbers here in just a second, is to get back to doing the letter writing or, postcards, or going and knocking on doors again, that, hey, I've got a buyer who wants to live in this neighborhood. And are you interested in selling? That script right there, or that letter. So don't just sit back. That's the other thing I was going to say here, is that don't just sit back and wait for stuff to happen. Make it happen. That's an important piece, right? Because if we just sit and wait, somebody else is going to go do it. And then your client will end up with them because they just want to get in the house, right? So make sure that you're not, that you're being proactive. And again, it's been the kind of the saying of the month here, but imperfect action will be perfect inaction anytime. So just get out there and do something, stir up the pot. All right, let me get the numbers up here. Oh, maybe we won't. Maybe we won't. All right, as we're waiting for InfoSparks to pop up here, the other place that you can find listings is going to be in the for sale by owners and in expireds. Now, yesterday there was 172 expireds that were on the market. So that's like the most that we've seen in a long time. So that is a skill that that you need to learn. And again, it's a place that we can find some listings. Now, for sale by owners, of course, they're still thinking that we're in that 2022 market, which we're not. And so that's where you can help them out because they're not able to get them sold, right? Now, today there's 36 expireds, which isn't a lot, but you start adding them up every day. If you got 30 per day, now we used to have like 50, 60, 100 a day, but it's something I think that we need to, that if you haven't tried it, we need to learn it, and we'll get some people in to help you learn that skill. But it's something to really look at doing if you want to find some listings. And that's the other thing too. It's a great place to go scour. If you got a buyer that's looking for a certain home and a certain price point, go look at them, and then you can call that or you can go knock on the door, but you can call that seller directly and say, hey, I see you had your home for sale. I've got a buyer that's interested in this type of a home. Can we have a conversation? Now you may have to talk them down that if they're $50,000 overpriced, you got to have that conversation. So they may not sell it to you, but at least you're talking to them, and now they got your name and your number, and you can follow up with them, right? And by the way, do not go and tell somebody that you have a buyer when you don't. Do not do that. If you've got a buyer, then tell them you do. If you don't do that, because that just, it just ruins your name then moving forward, because all of a sudden they're going to be like, yeah, I'll sell your house. Well, I really don't have a buyer. Or then you got to tell them that, make something up. Well, my buyer changed their mind. And so that's just not cool. So just be honest, always be honest. That's the ethic, the ethics piece of this, the ethical part of it. So that's a place. Where else can you find some listings? Where else can you get them? Yeah. We got Craigslist. You can go look there. There's usually for sale by owners are out there. You can check there. Sphere. Absolutely, Edie. Definitely talk to your Sphere. At this point, anybody who's bought a home in like the last 2 years, they'd be at least the minimum of last 2 years, because we know they got a lot of equity. Talk to them. And of course, we had heard that stat that people that did buy their home in the last 2 years, that most of them are not happy with the home that they did buy. Door knock around your open house. Yep. Open houses are not just for buyers. You can use that to attract sellers. Definitely. I think no matter what, anytime you do an open house, you need to door knock around that house. Basically do 11 homes, right? Do the 2 on either side, 5 across the street and 2 behind.
All right, Brian.
Yeah.
If I have someone looking for commercial and residential, can we assist with the commercial? I know he's looking for like maybe old gas stations. Residential, just looking for small investment properties to turn into rentals. But I wasn't sure about the commercial.
Commercial, I would get with it, especially with those gas stations and stuff like that, get with a commercial agent. Because you've got those underground tanks, you got all that stuff going with it. You want somebody who knows. And Van Gandy is somebody I know who deals a lot with gas stations in particular. So he might have a thumb on that. And Diego Munoz, Terrence, go ahead. Where'd Terrence go? There he is. So we can get you those phone numbers to you, but I would,
Okay.
I wouldn't touch that. I'd stay away from that. That's a lot of. All right, it finally came up here, so we'll jump into these numbers really quick. All right, so again, you guys can look at these anytime, and I would highly recommend that you print these off. And you can take these to use them or just show it to them, whether it's a buyer consultation or when you're talking to your sellers. And again, don't forget that you can change this all around up here. Right now, we're just going to do the triangle MLS, but you can get in here and do it by county. You can do it by subdivision, city, zip code, whatever information that you want, you can jump in and do it that way. So don't be afraid to get in here and use this to prove your point. That way you're not the bad guy or gal, and you can have that conversation with them. So the thing that we're going to see here, at least I thought anyway, is that there was mixed signals in these numbers this month. So number one, we did have the median price went down again, and so did the average. So we were pretty flat on the average. On the median, we've been going down for 3 months. And so 3 months, 3 months in a row, that is a trend, right? 1 month is an outlier. 2 months is like, oh, we better watch it. 3 months tends to become a trend. I'm going to guess that coming into February, March, that the prices will probably go back up because of all the buyers that we've seen apply for mortgages in January. So we'll have some pressure on these homes. We've been hearing that there's been multiple bids, things along those lines. Again, I think, Taylor, you were telling me it took you three times to get your client under contract. So we're running into that a little bit again. So we just need to watch that. Now, listings did bump up a little bit here, but still, if we look at this number, it's a pretty low number. And if we get back, 5 years, you got to go back to here really to start getting into that, because that's January of last year, and that number is a little bit higher than what this one is. I mean, here's January of 2021, here's January of 2020. So you can see that those numbers are a lot higher than what we've had in the past. And you can go back to 2017, 2016, 2015. So these are historically kind of low listing numbers. And right now that's all. And I think if we go into resale, if you look at resale, that makes it even worse. I mean, so our new construction has kind of been propping that up a little bit. And again, these numbers are all way higher, going all the way back. And again, we can go all the way back to, back to 2005 and 6, where you can see that we've really dipped there. This is where we came out of that recession, more or less. But this number is pretty darn low. So we need to focus on listings as a community. I'm not just saying Keller Williams alone, but every real estate agent out there should be focusing on listings, because that's the way we get out of that. Because here's the problem then. New listings came on the market, but the homes for sale dropped. So basically we're absorbing any inventory that came in. So there's, 2,430 homes. Again, 2021, 2022 were below because of just how those years were going. But you can see going back historically how many homes we should have on the market. And there's 5 years, 10 years, The trend's been going down again since coming out of that 2008 debacle. So listings is what we need to focus on. Again, under contract sales makes sense. It went up. If homes for sale are down, closed sales, of course, this is still based upon what had happened in November and December, right? And November and December was super slow. So we're still seeing that going down. But you look at that, we've been going down since August. That's a pretty long trend of going backwards. And again, looking back over, over the history, for closings wise, I mean, that's 5 years back. We got to go back, 10 years, even to get close to it, 1365, 1307. Go back the max. Imagine that. Look at that. Only 829 closings in all of the triangle. Woo! So yeah, we got to get back to that 2013, 20. That's like I said, pretty darn low. So that meant that November, December, probably October, that everything came to a screeching halt. And of course, Ryan, what was going on in September and October?
Rates were in the 7s.
Yeah. So days on market are still going up. That's the median. You can see that's 28 days. Average wise, we're at 43. And this is, we'll talk about this in just a second. But I think that number will probably drop a little bit here. But again, if you have a listing, don't panic. And you got to keep your sellers from panicking. I understand that everything's sold in a day or a week. And a lot of you that have come into the industry in the last 2.5 years, you're used to everything just flying off the market. And it's not. All right. Even at these numbers, we'll see what happens here now in February as we get more towards the spring market. But even in January here, they still went up. Month supply did drop, which makes sense. We're now down to a month again. And that's on resale. If we go to all construction types, I think we're at 1.7. So new construction does almost cover one part of almost a month's worth of demand. So there's sales price again. And then here's where I was kind of looking at this and going, wow. So that's the median. There's the average. All right. So we'll start with the median. I think it's about the same, 96.3. It's just 94.6 for the average. So what this tells me here, as you can see, is the high was 105. That means we were selling houses for more than what they were listed for. Now we're selling houses for less than what they were listed for. I guess my thing is that I'm a little surprised that it's all the way down to 94.6. The average, as you can see, has always kind of been, going back to the normal years, has been probably in that 98 range. And we have fallen below that. I don't understand why listing agents in a seller's market, why they're giving up the farm. And this is why I was talking, be patient. This is where you have to negotiate. This is where your negotiation skills come into play. And, because selling at 96% of list price or 94%, one of two things is happening. I should take that back a little bit, roll that back a little bit, is either the houses are all overpriced or we're not negotiating properly. Now, if you're a buyer's agent and you got that, congratulations, great job. And that's the whole thing here, right? If we're on the buy side, that's what we want to see. If we're on the sell side, that's not very good. So understand how to negotiate. If you got a house out there listed for 300,000 and somebody comes in and offers 250, but you like everything else about the terms, don't drop your price right away. Just say, hey, we love the offer that you gave us, and we love all the terms that you sent here, and we look favorably upon a price of 300,000. You're basically just telling the other agent, the other side, that, you know what, you need to come up a little bit. And so get them to go to 275 or get them to come up before you come down, because you're going to end up meeting in the middle most likely. So if your seller wants to sell it for $295, you probably need them to come up to $290 before you're going to come down 5,000, have them come up 5,000. So just understand how to negotiate. Of course, if you got a seller that needs to sell, you just need to do what they're asking you to do. But this number really kind of shocked me, that it keeps going down, especially with inventory as low as it is. Same thing with this one here, percent of last list price. So this means that we've adjusted the price. All right. So we realized that we were overpriced in the market. And then now in January, we're still selling almost 3% below. And again, you can see that the reverse hockey stick at this point in both of these, right? But that's a steep mountain. And I get that 105, that wasn't realistic. But again, going back, like we talked about, the average is really around that 98 percentile. That's going back to 2016. The same thing here, it's actually about 99%. So just something to be aware of and something to work on. All right. Then again, shows the pending. The median is 14. You can see it went up here. It went up the last couple of months. So that means that we've had more people looking at homes before you're having more foot traffic. So and this was kind of crazy, right? We've got more foot traffic, but the days on market increased. And even shows per listing are saying the same thing. The showings per listing have gone up, but our days on market are longer. So that's why I was saying some of these numbers, usually they fall in lockstep with each other, but in this case here, they're not. So anybody's thoughts on these numbers?
So good morning. Brian, I'm glad you added the part in, of course, about the sellers, because I know for my closing in December, I was a seller's agent, but for them, they were concerned about the possible days on the market and they did not wish to negotiate further. So I don't know if a lot of sellers are finding themselves in that position because they are concerned, because they are aware that things aren't moving as quickly and they don't want to just sit and lose out. So I don't know if how much that's affecting what we're seeing right now. I don't know, but it's just, just something to consider. So, yeah.
Oh, you're 100% correct, Robin. I mean, that's the psyche, right? And we always talk about, having to sell that real estate, between the 4 inches between our ears. And so when you're used to seeing everything out there saying everything's flying off the market. And again, you look back at those last 2 years in particular, we've gotten used to that. And so has the public, right? And so when that doesn't happen, I get what you're saying. And so they want to sell. They're like, all right, I got this offer. This is, I'm going to take it because I don't want to take the chance that I'm going to miss out. The other part of that is, I lost my train of thought. It'll come back. It's a long train.
Yes, sellers didn't want to miss out. I don't know. I was trying to guess maybe you're going.
It'll come back to me at some point in time.
Okay.
But it's a slow train, so it's not going to go very far. Edie, you're going to say something?
No, I'm sorry. I just had to pop off and pop back on. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I definitely agree with more showings. I'm seeing a lot more showings on the buyer side for sure, but they don't have that sense of urgency, which the numbers are kind of showing that they agree with the numbers. But with that said, if it's a nice house, it's gone quick. If it's an average house, it's going to be out there a while. That's what I'm feeling and seeing.
Well, I think we got to get back to looking at the condition of the house. I mean, that's the other thing too. I think over the last 2 years, it didn't matter what the condition of the house was. We just threw it out there and it got sold, right? Well, now, like you're saying, Tim, if it's in good condition, it can garner a a premium price. But if it's not in great condition, then you have to drop that a little bit. And that's what we're seeing. I think we're seeing a lot of that as well, because how many people, and we've had a lot of them here recently, how many people have had stuff fall out of contract? And if you're on the listing side, the buyer backs out. And that's because once they do the inspection report, stuff like that, they're like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. Or they get in there and they get a chance to really take a look at it. And it's like, oh, you know what? The floors need to be done. We need to do this. We need to do that. You know what? Buyers do have options now. That's the other part of it, is that because the market isn't flying at 100 miles an hour, that they can do that. But I guess where I was going with this is that it still is a seller's market if you're doing everything the correct way. And that's where maybe those prices where they're at, that 94%, that it's negotiating at, is that listing agents are still overpricing the home based upon the condition. Go ahead, Zach.
Thank you. And I put it in everyone's comments in regards to the art of negotiation, and training your clients up front is key. And that's going to be the difference between a great agent and someone who just got into business to sell a house. And, we want to be a step above. So I'm encouraging, and Edie saw this as well, to have an art of negotiation class. Come in and have those conversations with experienced agents that have gone through that. A lot of the new agents out there right now that came in 2 to 3 years ago, that everything was selling, that's the reason why they're overpriced. That's the reason why they're not able to negotiate. We don't want to be that type of agent. Let 1084 be the market center that all of their agents are trained and know that it's not a cookie cutter industry, that you've got to be able now to exercise those skills.
Yeah, and we just had one here in January. We got another one coming up right now in February on the 27th. We got, probably the reason why it's put out so late is that we're going to be gone for like a week for family reunion, but that is something that we do have on the calendar. And again, if something you want to discuss ahead of time, I mean, we can definitely do something before that. I mean, Grant can do something with that. I can do something with that again, and we can get a panel in here. I know we got a panel coming up for listings, and we can get a panel on negotiations as well. So great point. So Laura, you're saying people are still worried about the marketplace. What do you mean by that?
The comments that I've been receiving is the fact that they're worried about the market and the increases of the percentages of interest. And so they're a little skeptical about buying or selling their property. That's what I was talking about.
Okay. So I know Ryan just stepped away, but as we talked about earlier, is that interest rates have come down quite a bit. They were at 7 something. Ryan, what were they in October? 7.25, 7.5?
I mean, they got as high as 7 5/8, and they're basically at 6% today.
They're at 6% today, so you could get into the 5s pretty easily, right?
Easily, a few $100 in points, and you're at 5.875.
So what do you mean by a few $100 in points?
So there's not one rate that's offered. When I lock a rate for somebody, I've got options that start at maybe like 5.25%, where they might be paying $6,000 or $7,000 for that lower rate. They're buying down the rate. And there's a rate typically to what we call par, where you're not paying anything for it and you're not getting any lender credit. And that rate as of yesterday was right around 6%.
Okay. So how low could you get? What's a reasonable, what you would feel is reasonable?
I advise clients to never pay more than 1 point. I was like, if you want to get the rate down a little bit, and I'm going off memory here, and my memory is not the greatest, but I want to say, like yesterday, if somebody were paying 7/8 of 1%, that would get the rate down from, let's just say 6 to like 5.625. So, I feel like that's a worthwhile expense. But if you spend $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to buy down your rate, and then rates just naturally drop over the next 9 or 12 months, they're going to feel like an idiot because I'm going to be calling them up. It's like, hey, let's refinance. The rate's now 4.75. And if they spent 10, whatever, thousands of dollars to lock in a lower rate and they refinance, that's not a refundable expense. It's just money they just kind of blew. I tell people all the time, just put down more, take the rate that's like, close to par. Maybe you pay it down, $1,000 or so, but then just borrow less and wait for the opportunity to refinance.
How about a 2-in-1 or anything like that? Would you advise that right now, or is that some way to do it?
I mean, if it's going to keep me from losing a deal, but again, I'm always of the mindset that rates are where they are, and nobody that I've done business with just takes out a mortgage and never changes it, right? They either upsize, downsize, or they just kind of wait for the opportunity to refinance. And I feel like the rates we will have the opportunity. So I feel like people that spend a lot of money to buy down a rate that's temporary in particular, I don't think it's the best use of their money unless the seller's just willing to like toss them a bunch of money. And then that's a different story, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. You can ask the seller to pay for some of that stuff and see if they'll do that instead of lowering their price. Terrence, what do you got?
Ryan, could you do a minute or so long video that our agents could have so we could play it on our phone or our iPad when we're at a presentation? That way it's coming from a lender's mouth and it's explained perfectly. And you could start out by saying, hey, in the last 4 years, you've gained X amount of equity on average in your house. Take a small portion of that profit, buy your interest rate down, and this is how much you'll save over the life of the loan, or how much you'll save per month, so that the agents that don't know a lot about it can have third-party validation in a presentation.
What purchase price would you like me to use and what down payment?
Average, what you're seeing for average in Garner, average sell price, average down
Like
payment.
400 maybe,
Yeah,
like a 400
400.
purchase price and 5% down, for example.
Yep.
I'll have it out today and I'll just send it out and I'll put it on the internal Facebook page and I'll just call it like sample home buyer or something like that.
I think that'll be good for us to use.
And here's the point that I'm trying to make, I guess, right now, is that there are options out there. So when people are coming at you with this, you have to be able to open up your toolbox and be able to pull something out. So understanding the mortgages, and like Terrence is asking here, having it come from them, but also understanding the mortgage hacks, like we call them, that what you can do, and to be able to explain that to somebody really quick is the key to this, right? Because what was the percentage yesterday, Ryan? You said 62% of all mortgages start with a 2 or a 3.
Yeah, like 63 point something percent, something like that. Starts with either a 2 or a 3.
To Lori's point, we're going to run into that objection. And so you got to be able to handle that objection, because it's like, well, why do I want to sell? I've got an interest rate at 3%. I don't want to have to double it. Well, you know what? You don't have to double it. And on top of it, if we do some things, you can end up with about the same payment. Like you said, put more money down because you've got equity in it. We can buy some points, buy a point down. We could look at a 2-in-1. We could look at these types of things. There's a bunch of different options out there to get that interest rate down, into the 5s, maybe even into the high 4s at this point. So
Ryan, I think also in that video, you mentioned it a little bit. Make sure you put in that if interest rates do go down naturally, that they can refinance. And I know, I think most lenders are saying refinance for free. Let them know that option will be there. So that's something they can look forward to.
Absolutely will.
Yeah. And to that point, that's the other part of it, is that how long, I think, Ryan, that's where you're going with this. How long are you going to live with that interest rate? Are you here for the rest of your life? And we know that's not true, right? Because I love that.
It's
point,
not the
Ryan.
norm. It's not the norm. People are going to outgrow their house or downsize or whatever. And so they're going to end up changing their mortgage. and they just have to get over the mental thing. It's like, okay, I got the 3% mortgage and rates are now at 6, you know? But then that's where I advise them. It's like, yeah, but you bought your house for 250 and it's now worth 450. So you're not going to be borrowing as much money on the next one because you're going to be making a massive down payment, whereas you only put down 5% when you bought it. And I think that's the conversation I enjoy having with people and help them understand. It's like, yeah, the rate's not as low right now. We can do some manipulation to get that rate down by either buying it down or doing a 2-1 buy down to get you a temporary reprieve. But I mean, all in all, you got to use that equity you built up in the house to borrow less money on the next house. And that's how you build wealth over time. And eventually you pay for your last house, hopefully in cash or close to it, right? And have a small mortgage.
The other thing is too, is that Fed only raised what, a 1/4 point? Is that what I seen?
Yeah. So with that, you know, everybody was very hopeful that the jobs report come out this morning that would show that, like, okay, stuff is slowing down, but the jobs report was a absolute blockbuster where the economy gained another 517,000 jobs in January. They were expecting 185. So
Wow.
the bond market's not having a good day so far today.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's lots of things that play into it, Lori, but the thing is also is that a lot of it's just mental. It's what they're hearing on the news all the time. And it's what they're hearing, what they're seeing on social media, and what they're seeing isn't always the truth. And so again, that's where we need to be educated, and so that we can have that conversation with the consumer and with our client, and help them to understand that it's not as scary as it seems. I mean, I think if we'd have stayed in the 7s, to be honest with you, I think those numbers would have come back up no matter what. But I think there was a scare factor with that, and that's one of the reasons why we see the numbers drop off. But the other part of it is that it held on too long, right? And I think that, of course, it happened at in the holiday season, which is a natural seasonality that goes with that. And a lot of people, I think, just said, you know what, I'm going to wait until after the 1st, and that's what we're seeing. Because I mean, you've been inundated with applications too, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I've had a lot.
So now we got to find them a place. That's the thing. That's the key. And so again, that's our job, right? That's our job, is to go find listings. So get out there, talk to your sphere. We just talked about that. Talk to them. Talk to anybody that bought a house in really the last 2 years, because again, they've got a lot of equity. They're like Ryan is saying, there's a ton of equity there. And so they can move into that next house that they want. We do know, I can't remember who told me, I think it was Edie maybe that said it to me, but even new construction has said that they've started to have more people showing up. Go ahead, Edie.
New construction, at least with True Homes, started having multiple offers again in the past 2 weeks as far as what they have available.
So we'll probably see those incentives that they have. We'll probably, you know, from the new construction folks, they'll probably start lowering those or taking those away as the spring market comes in. So again, when's the best time to buy? Right now. All right, what other questions do you have? What's happening out there? What do you need help with?
I'm wondering if we could possibly put a panel together within the office or from agents who have been doing business for a long time to talk about how to negotiate repairs in this market now that buyers are asking for things and sellers are having to give up some things now that we're back in a more normalized market, and a lot of folks may not have had to deal with that in 2 to 3 years.
Sure.
So if we could do that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that could be included in that negotiation panel. That's part of it. So we can definitely do that. What else do you got?
I'm just going to put in a shameless plug. If anybody has absolutely nothing going on at 11 o'clock, the Career Development Committee is on a Zoom call, and I would love to have people's opinions and thoughts and pretty much their ideas. No idea is stupid. No question is stupid as far as classes, seminars, books, anything that you have out there that you may have seen either working in transactions with other people that they're doing and you're seeing they're working in their business that you would like to investigate within our market center. We would love to have ideas and thoughts. 11 o'clock on the Zoom. Thanks.
Yeah, it's on the platinumcalendar.com. The link is there. And what Edie's career development is really about classes and things along what do you need to develop your real estate career. So please jump on there, and you can be on multiple committees as well. You know, you don't have to just be on Edie's. You can be on the other ones also. And even if you just want to show up and put your 2 cents in at this point, that would be awesome as well. Because what we need to have here is like this stuff here, like we want a negotiation panel. Like I said, we got a listing panel coming up. What do you need? What do you want? Who do you want to hear from? You know, if there's a class out there that you know of from somebody else, or you don't think that maybe we do have, we probably have it someplace, and we can pull it out and definitely do it for you. So this is your market center. We want it to be your training. You know, as leadership, we sit over here and we kind of guess, we throw at the dartboard a lot of times. And I would rather have it, you know, coming directly from you, straight from the horse's mouth. So please jump on that at 11 o'clock. Again, the Zoom link is on platinumcalendar.com. And Tim, do you have one coming up by any chance, since you're on here as well?
Yeah, we have the safety committee coming up next Friday. I think at 12 o'clock, the safety committee is going to meet. And, you know, safety is more than just what do I watch out for when I go into a house. And we just want to kind of have our first get together and go over all the different types of safety that involve us, whether it's computer, phone, verbiage, and then how we act in public as well. And then on the education committee, I know that a lot of people say, well, I wish they would do this and I wish they would do that. I can say that every time that I've heard somebody suggest a meeting for education or some type of schooling for it, it happens. So saying the market center is not listening or doing it is not true. Show up, put your 2 cents in, and I bet they'll make something happen.
The other thing is too, as we're talking about education and so forth, February is Black History Month. And so if there's something that anybody out there would like to see, speaking of bringing in somebody, let us know and we'll go out and get them. I was going to talk to the DEI regional director and see if she could come in and speak. But if there's something else that you want to, again, do have, we'd love to hear and let us know what that is. All right, Crystal, you've got my focus is buyers posting there, ready to buy instead of rent. I'm not for sure what you mean by that. What's the best advice I could give to them to convince them to start now? So you're saying that they're going to rent instead of buy? Is that what you're saying?
No, they want, I'm sorry. They're tired of renting and they want to buy.
Okay.
And I usually try to ask like, well, what's your credit score? Or, you know, just to try to start a conversation.
When they say that they're ready to buy, first thing you do is just get them to a mortgage professional, get them to Justin, get them to Ryan, have them take a look at, because they can pull the credit score. Because a lot of times people think their credit score is better than what it is, or they think it's worse than what it is. And so they can actually have that conversation with them. And if it's something that they need to do, I know Ryan and Justin will both do that. If their score is a little bit low, they can usually give them some advice to pop up their credit score. And
Okay.
so get them to them as soon as possible. And Ryan, maybe talk about this, because everybody's always concerned that if you pull their credit, that their credit score is going to go down.
Yeah, I have that conversation every single day. And like, there's not a one size fits all on credit scores. So if somebody's got like one trade line of credit in their entire credit history, or just one thing, and that's it, and it's been on there for 6 months, and if somebody pulls their credit, it's probably going to lower their score a few points, just simply because it looks at all the data. And if there's nothing there for data, it's going to have some negative impact. But the average person, they've got tons of accounts, and that credit pull is not going to do anything to their credit. It's always the negative crap that's on their credit that does things to their credit. And me pulling it just exposes that, so I can look at it and talk to them. So what I would advise you is, like, there's all these new things that are going into effect for every mortgage professional. It starts May 1st. And I'm still not even 100% sure if that's for loans I'll lock after May 1st or loans that are going to be delivered to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac on May 1st. But basically, it used to be that at a 740 credit score, you get the best rate. At a 760 credit score, you get the lowest mortgage insurance. But they've changed that, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and there's all these little buckets now. So if your debt to income ratio is above 40%, you're going to pay a higher rate or pay more points to get the same rate. If your credit score is above 780, you get the best rate. If it's at 760, it's a little bit worse. If it's at 740, it's a little bit worse. So they're making it way more complicated and way more difficult for the average homeowner to get the best price that they can. So that credit score is absolutely imperative. And people need to know the little things that they can do to get that score to 800. So I don't care if people have perfect credit. If it's at 740, there's something they can do to get it to 760, 780, 800. And having that conversation sooner rather than later with whoever the mortgage professional is paramount.
Yeah. So get them to the mortgage professional and let them tell them what they need to do. Terrence.
I say when they say that they're tired of renting, go a little deeper on that, because if we instantly go to financial, they're in an apartment usually for a couple different reasons. One, they've got screwed up credit. Two, they truly don't know finances. So that's going to intimidate them and make them cagey. They're going to close off. Go deeper with questions to find out why it is that they want to get out of that rental. I know there are some basic reasons why, but they may have some very specific reasons. If you can get 3 of their reasons, put that in command so you always remember it. Now, when you talk to them and you can feel them wavering a little bit, you're going back to those 3 reasons. That way you'll connect with them and you'll keep them in the game.
Thank you. That's a great idea. I'm gonna try it.
I'll
see
go
it on my.
because I have clients that I put with Ryan last year that were in a rental and they were thinking that they wanted to go into a house. Their situation, once they looked at it, we had the hard discussion, both Ryan and I, with them, that they weren't ready to start looking for a house yet. But here are the things that you can do over the next year to get you in a better place to be ready to go into a house. And I just got them this month into a better rental that is giving them the family thing that they want in a better area and in a better space for them while we work on getting them into a house. It's a long run, but it's worth it. And I have clients that are very happy moving forward now.
Okay. I appreciate everything, guys.
Good discussion. What else do we have? Wendy, do you guys have coffee today?
Yes, we do. We have coffee 10:30 downtown Clayton. Come on, ladies, join us.
Where are you at in downtown Clayton?
I believe it's Boulevard West. It's right on Main Street.
Yeah, Boulevard, nice place.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody's invited, right? Invite a friend.
It is a ladies' coffee group. But we're going to talk about doing some other things too today. So,
All right, yeah, that's what I meant. All the ladies, but invite a friend. All the ladies are invited.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter as long as you're a real estate agent. We don't care. We don't discriminate, and just come and join us.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't care what we don't care. You don't care what flag they're flying. Just bring them on down.
No, we don't. In fact, I think we have at least two, maybe three people from other agencies who are going to be joining us today.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right, what else is happening out there? Who's got
I want to say one thing, Brian. Well, two things. One is I want to thank everybody for being on the call today and continuing to be on these calls. I went to a presentation earlier this week. The listing agent and the seller were there because it was already listed. I sat down with them and picked out 5 noticeable things that the listing agent did incorrectly. She used comps that were new construction for a house that was 5 years old. She also used comps. The house went on the market in December, so she probably started talking to that person in October. So I could tell she was still using the resale comps from the summer. She had bad photos, just a lot of bad stuff. And 5 of those things were things immediately that I knew we had talked about on these calls. And that agent has been in the business for 8 or 9 years. And we have, the mistakes she made, we have covered on these morning calls. So you might not get everything in one call, but if you stay on, you are going to be a much better agent.
Good points.
And and there's a DEI meeting Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
DEI Wednesday at 10. Be there. Everybody should be there. If you're looking to expand your business, you need to be there for that. Number 2, if you're looking to expand your mind, which we all should be doing, you need to be there for that as well. I mean, it's a double whammy, right? So everybody be there for the DEI. Yeah, the big thing here is that, like what Terrence is saying about here too, just to kind of cover it again, don't take photos with your iPhone. I mean, I know that they claim that the phone is really good, but that's what a professional is for. And then on top of it, like you said, you see these photos where people have taken a picture of the hallway or they take a picture of the stairwell. Unless the stairwell has got some type of grand staircase, there's no reason to ever take a picture of the stairwell. Yeah, these steps go up. All right, thank you. Or they go down, usually from the top of the steps going down. Or of course, you end up with the photo with the person in the mirror, or they're taking a picture of the of the dog running through. Or I seen one the other day where in one photo the purse and some other things were on the table, and then the next photo the purse was gone. So they obviously had caught themselves. Everybody finds their home on the internet now, so use professional photos. That's the number one thing. The second thing I'll say here too is make sure, this is a big one right now, is that when it comes to measurements, do not, absolutely, I know Zach has said this before me, and the BIC before Zach has said this, and the BIC before that BIC has said it, but do not use measurements from the tax records. All right, do not use the measurements from the last listing that's on the MLS. Get it measured. We had somebody that they were lucky that the other side was really nice because they were off by about 600 square feet. And that's what they did. And what happened was is somebody they added on, right? And they didn't have it measured. So they got really, really lucky. I myself, I paid the $100 to have somebody come out and measure it. Just have it done. It just saves so much time and a headache. Plus on top of it, they do the sketch for you. It's taken care of. So be professional. That's what I guess where I'm going at. If you look professional and be professional, you know, it goes a long ways in this industry. To Terrence's point, you know, we've got people out there that have been in the industry for, you know, 10 years or more, and they just don't act the part. So please do that. That's just my little bit corner there for a second. And on top of it, fill up those photos, right? How many do you get to put on right now on the listings? How many photos can you put out there? This tells me how much to the listing. What's that?
As
Isn't it
many
like
as you
30?
need.
100.
45.
They upped it.
Less is more.
I mean, yeah.
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
As,
they did up it
as
though.
many as you need.
As many as they allow, if the photos make sense. The second part I'm going to say here too is again with the photos, I don't need a photo of the front entrance to the subdivision. And if I'm going to have that, that's probably going to be like the last one in the string. You people, when they look at the photos, they look at basically the first 4. That's your chance to get people into your house, is with those first 4 photos. So if you want to have one from the outside, that's fine, you know, for the curb appeal, but it's got to be the one that catches their eye. Number 2 photo should be the best photo of the house. If it's the kitchen, then put the kitchen in there. If it's the master bedroom or the owner suite, then, you know, put that in there. If it's an outdoor shot, you know, of a pool or whatever it is, then put that there. But you've got the first 4 photos, and after that they drop off. But the thing about it is that if they're interested, then they'll start sticking around and clicking through all of them. But they got to look good. So make sure that you're, again, using a professional. Early on, I used to do a thing where I would basically walk them through the house, but that was something that later on I found out that no, you need to put your best shot needs to be in those that second photo. Ian, got any listings today?
Not yet.
You got buyers though looking for listings?
Yeah, of course.
Yep. So what are you doing about that? Are you sending out letters and stuff like that?
Yep, just sent out a couple hundred letters to the neighborhood.
Oh, some people want to be in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we talked about that maybe early on. Again, if you got a buyer, there you go. Here's a gentleman that's doing it at a high level, and like we talked about, he's sending out letters to that neighborhood saying, "Hey, I've got buyers. Are you interested in selling?" You know, put in there if you know what the numbers are, you can put in, "Hey, there's been, you know, a 30% appreciation in this neighborhood from 2018 to, you know, 2023. You're just trying to get a discussion, right? Then everything can start from there. Or go door knock and then hand them the letter with the information on it. Ask them to do a equity analysis. Come from contribution, and you can start farming that neighborhood. Just don't farm Ian's. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as Terrence has said, thank you for being here. This, you know, obviously showing up, it shows that you're concerned for your business, you're concerned for your family. You want to do well. Again, sharpen all those tools, like Zach had said earlier. You know, get into the trainings that are available. The other thing is too, is jump on this call coming up at 11 o'clock. If there's a training that you need, let Edie know. And as Tim had said, we will go get it. We will go get it for you. All right. If you need anything, please reach out to somebody here at the market center. You know, like Tim was kind of mentioning there that, hey, if there's something that you're missing or that you need, we don't ever want to hear that we're not supplying it. So, or providing it. So you got myself, you got Jackson, you've got Grant, and you've got Becky. Reach out to us and we're more than happy to help you out with whatever it is that you need. All right. Have yourself a good day, everybody. And again, thanks for being here.
You too. Thank you.